All right, beautiful people. Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, De'Von Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. And y'all see what it is. Y'all can hear it probably in the vibes. Today is another solo day, but y'all know when I'm solo, when the queen has to hold it down the other way, because again, she's finishing up her last round of her MBA, so y'all send her strength, send her energy, send her vibes. I always come through with a book, okay? That is my kind of my crutch, for lack of better words, when I'm trying not to rant and give y'all good nuggets. I come through with a book, something that y'all can pick up if you choose to. This is not being sponsored by this book at all, but if y'all choose to pick it up, you can. But thank you for joining us, and we wanted to give a little bit of love to our consistent followers, our consistent listeners on all platforms: Apple Music, Google, Spotify, all that good stuff. We do see the consistent numbers come in. They're starting to grow a little bit, and we appreciate y'all. Thank you for telling your friends, telling your family, for talking about the podcast and what y'all have learned by listening. We appreciate you. Grandy, you already know what it is. We appreciate your constant support in all endeavors. Now, we'll do a short recap of the week, but then we're going to dive right into it. We'll dive right into it after the short recap. So, the week has been a beautiful week. Not going to lie, I think this, the year 2020 is definitely a historic year for many different reasons. Corona, the legends that have been lost in 2020, the social justice fights that have continued to go on and spark new energy in 2020, just the government the government and politics that we're going in. This isn't a political podcast, but it's definitely been a year full of up and down, to say the least. But throughout those up and downs, I think us as a unit, as a kingdom, as a team, as a loved couple, we've been holistically blessed. We've had, a few close people to us come down with Corona, but no one has been lost. Thank the ancestors, thank God. Us ourselves, due to our, whatever you want to call it, our health regimen, the Organifi that we're not sponsored with, but we still appreciate you. Our daily workouts, our diet, whatever it is, but we've been healthy. We haven't come down with anything, knock on wood. So, this week has just been a continuum of the year's blessings already, if that makes grammatical sense. The smart one's not here to correct me on my grammar, so y'all might get a whole bunch of made up words today. All right, but overall, it's been a blessed week. We got some good stuff in the works, and we're definitely going to keep on going with momentum, most definitely. But today, we want to talk a little bit about perception, and specifically perception when it comes to marketing. All right, so the three things that we're going to cover are going to be perception for you and when you are being marketed to, and kind of be able to make intentional decisions when that is happening. Number two, how you market your personal brand, who you are as a individual, as a friend, as a son, as a husband, as a person, just who you are. And then number three, how you market your own business or how you market your own products. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the episode. So again, thanks y'all for joining us today. We're going to be talking about just the power of perception in multiple facets. I have my book, I have my notes to keep me on track so I don't ramble too much. So the book that we're going to go over today, and this is, again, not a sponsor, but a very powerful and short form book. All right, I will note, it is a nice compact, short form book. Usually when I go to the airport or wherever I travel, I'll take this book and sometimes one other book with me just because it's a nice quick read and it always gives me a new nugget. So this one is called The 22 Immutable, I like that word, Laws of Marketing, okay? The specific chapter that we're going to go through is going to be, if you guessed it correctly, Chapter 4, The Law of Perception. Marketing is not a battle of products. It is a battle of perception. All right, so very interesting chapter. This chapter is only 6 pages, right? So that's why, again, I really like this book. Definitely, I'm sure you can grab it at your local bookstore or at your local online bookstore, but feel free. It's a cheap buy for the amount of game that it gives you. Again, and in marketing, you can use it in entrepreneurship. You can use it in your own, if you're working at a business and you're in charge of marketing, you're in charge of social media, you're in charge of communication, this book will be helpful. If you volunteer for a nonprofit organization, this book is helpful. If you work for your church, religious organization, like no matter where you're working, you're always in marketing, right? And I define marketing as influencing the consumer to make decisions in the market of your choice, right? So that can be, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but that can be government, that can be, again, religious organizations, that can be board game organizations, fast food restaurants, education, you name it. It is influencing the consumer to make decisions in the market that you want, or the market of your choice, all right? So, without further ado, again, I already said it, but the first kind of thing that we're going to go over is being aware of when you are being influenced, right? When you are being marketed to. And I think, obviously, 2020, you're being marketed to, first of all, let's be real, you're being marketed to 24/8. I say 24/8 because I'm sure there's a day that we're not aware of that you're still being marketed to in this virtual digital world where there's so many Facebook ads, Google Pixels, Facebook Pixels, YouTube ads, Snapchat ads. Like, there's so much marketing, so much advertisement going on. You are constantly being marketed to, even while you sleep. And I say that, and I wish the Queen was here for this because I feel like she would be able to break down the science for you. But if you consume information while you're awake on your conscious mind, on a conscious level, when you dream, what clothes are you wearing when you dream? What cars are you driving when you dream? What brands are around you when you dream, right? It has to be the brands that you were consuming during the day. So it's interesting that even when you're dreaming, you are still, like that marketing is still happening. So it's very interesting. But another way that you're being marketed to, and I think it's a interesting critique to start looking at these things, like when you're constantly being marketed to, right? Now you can start to pinpoint what value propositions businesses are trying to highlight for you. And it can be interesting what it's perceived is the value of that customer. For example, I want to go into food. I think, for my perception, because the book really does go over the difference between what is fact and what is perception. And in this book, they say that perception is actually more powerful than what reality is, right? Because obviously reality is built on what we perceive to be reality. So perception literally is reality. Let me not go on a tangent. I took notes, all right? So food. It's interesting that when you think of, and this isn't a bash on any brand, but when you think of a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a Burger King, a Wingstop, for me, it seems like the main thing that they are marketing, or the main value proposition of those type of chains is what? Go ahead, I'll let you think about it for a second. Go ahead and give your own independent answer. I don't want to influence you, but when you think of a McDonald's, when you think of a Taco Bell, a Burger King, a Carl's Jr., what is the reason why you buy there instead of a different place? Okay, again, I don't want to influence you. Get your answer. You got it? You sure? All right, so for me, it's all about price, right? It's about how much food are you getting for as little money as possible. And I see these billboards all the time, 2 for $3.50. I see these, 20 nuggets for $5. I see the McCoffee large, any size for 50 cents. And it's like the main value prop is always you're getting a lot of quantity for a little bit of quantity of money. They're not pushing the value proposition of health. They don't say, oh, this food is going to be so fresh, delicious, raised from the farm. They never give those propositions, in my opinion, because they assume the person that they are marketing to doesn't perceive those as valuable. Right? So like when you go to, I don't know if I've even seen a Fleming's commercial, but the value proposition for Fleming's is not the bang for your buck. It's not the 2 steaks for $3. It's the 1 steak, 6 ounce for $60. It's the quality of the meat that you're purchasing, right? You're not purchasing the quantity. So I find that interesting that these industries are marketing the value proposition of cheapness, of affordability, because they think that is the number one buying point, value proposition for their consumer, which they may or may not be true, right? That for most folks, maybe that is true, all right? Second thing along the whole, be aware of the marketing and what that marketing is trying to say about the consumer is the propositions. We are in voting season right now. It's October 5th, so we are in heavy voting season right now. The deadline to register in California, October 19th. If y'all are not registered, this is not an endorsement of any propositions, but y'all get registered, get active, make sure y'all vote this year. Whatever side you're on, just vote, make your voice heard, all that good stuff. But it's interesting how the propositions are spun, no matter which side it is, to be the right side. Right? Whether it's a yes on Prop 16, a no on Prop 15, a yes on Prop 22, a no on Prop 22. Either commercial that you see, you're like, dang. Like, I think they might be right. And then you see the other commercial and it's like, dang, they might be right. Because each side is playing to different sensories of your perception. And I don't know which proposition this is. Maybe 23. The one that has to do with like diabetes and medical care. And, I saw it and it was like, do you know a family member that has diabetes? And it's like, oh, like the first line, right? The very first line. And sorry if that snap was loud on the podcast, y'all, my bad. I got powerful hands. But the first line, they're already going directly to your emotions. I don't even know what else they say after that. All I know is they're asking me if I have a family member with diabetes, which I do. So it makes me think that I should vote in favor of whatever this is saying, because emotionally, I'm already invested, right? So please do research before you go to the voting polls, because government and propositions is all marketing, it's all strategy, it's all influence. And you really need to make sure when you go into those polls, you're making intentional decisions based on research and what's good for yourself, your family, your community, and your state, and not just, oh, yeah, this was the diabetes one, and I did have someone in diabetes, so I'm just going to put yes, because, I'm not going to front like I've gone into voting polls every single year as of 18, and made 100% intentional and research-driven decisions. But this year, I will be doing that, right? And hopefully, years to come, I will be doing that, because the more grown we get, the more real world implications these voting and propositions and assembly bills and presidential candidates have on the real world. So that's one thing. Last thing with this section, all right, and this is the section on influencing and it's on how you are influenced by others, and really making sure that you're keeping track of that and you're making intentional decisions. Last one that I think may be the most powerful one and the most tampered with one is real estate. Think about it. Think about how real estate is 100% built on perception of where that property is located. For example, you go to a spot in a quote unquote good neighborhood. It's next to a really good, high performing blue ribbon school. Around the corner is a nice, grocery store where they sell organic produce. They have a nice park around the corner as well where your kids can play. And the real estate agent will always talk about all these amazing perks that can be perceived as valuable. And all those things give direct value to the real estate property, right? So it usually homes in perceived good neighborhoods next to a perceived good school, their value's higher than properties where you go in, you walk around and there's, dirt everywhere. So it's perceived to be messy. The school around the corner maybe is a low performing school. Also, probably it's low funded school, right? So that's also why it may be performing not so high. Maybe around the corner from there is a park, but maybe there's, graffiti on that park. So again, it's perceived to be a bad neighborhood. So you can get a house that's the exact same square footage, has the same rooms, bedrooms, and maybe the house itself looks exactly the same and is painted the same, has the exact same aesthetic value and tangible value to it. But because the perception of the neighborhood is different, that property will be worth two different values. And it's amazing to see the ups and downs of perceptions in certain neighborhoods. For example, gentrification. And I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'm already going into a rabbit hole of ranting, and I apologize for that, but this is fun stuff. But gentrification is really just changing the perception of a certain community. And then obviously there's other things that go in, like the replacement of those native folks as well. But the one of the first steps is, okay, let's paint everything. Let's beautify the neighborhood. Let's put up neighborhood watch signs. Let's put in new grocery stores. Let's change the way that people perceive this neighborhood first. And then let's market to people who will like these new value things, and then boom, the value of that neighborhood goes up. That is gentrification at a very, very, very basic level, right? Changing the perception of areas. And it's interesting to see the ups and downs that neighborhoods go through solely based on the perception of that neighborhood. Okay? So I'll get off my high horse for chapter 1, y'all. Again, we're going through the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, chapter 4, the Law of Perception. Definitely recommend this book if you haven't read it already. It is a pretty short, fast, engaging read, especially if you're already a creative person and you're already someone who likes to take knowledge and put it into action. So let's move on to the next section. We'll be right on back. All right. So section 2, if we're numbering these bad boys, is how you market your own personal brand. And the question that I would like to ask you is, when people think about you, right? They think about you. If they were like, you know what do you think about De'Von? What do you think the first or initial reaction people will give? What's the natural response, right? Or better yet, what do you hope is the natural response? Right? And I know for me, when people think of De'Von, I really hope they think of, one, I hope they smile a little bit. Like, oh, you know De'Von? Yeah, I know De'Von. Like, I hope they get a little bit of joy and happiness to them just thinking back on when they met me or whatever that experience was. Number 2, I love to think myself as a innovative thinker, right? As a creative thinker, and I think I've presented myself as that person in almost every job that I've had. Like, I've always been a problem solver. I've always been a person to think out the box. From my first job working on a farm, to my second job working at McDonald's, to my job right now, to the businesses that I've started, like, I've always been that creative person. So I really hope that folks that have engaged with me along this 27-year saga that has been my life, that they think, oh yeah, De'Von, he's a creative, innovative thinker. Number three, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but I'm hoping you're getting the concept. I hope they see me as a giver, right? Someone who is always ready to give to the community, to give to an individual, to give to a group. Like, I hope they see me as, oh yeah, De'Von, like he puts others before himself. So I would ask yourself that same question. Like, when people think of you, they think of you as a person, as a sibling, as a son, daughter, person. What do you want them to think of? And then once you have that, once you have the end goal, right, reverse engineer it and say, okay, if I want them to perceive me as thoughtful or as selfless, then what actions do I need to actually be doing? Right? So start with them and then end it with you. If I want them to think that I'm a creative thinker, then I need to be making sure that I'm speaking up in meetings and that I'm always sharing my creative ideas. If I want them to see me as a health conscious person, then I need to be, maybe giving folks health advice, or I need to always make sure that I myself am holistically healthy, whatever that means for me, not the stereotypical healthy, but be my healthy. Think about that a little bit. And I say that because there have been opportunities that have presented themselves to me, to the Queen, based on our personal brand. Before we built up, Play Black Wall Street as a brand, before we built up TH4 as a brand, like there's been opportunities that have been presented to us, people that have been presented to us, jobs that have been secured based on people hearing about us before they ever meet us, right? And half the time when you're applying to a job, if someone there has already put in a good word for you, like, oh yeah, I know De'Von, oh yeah, I know Ryan, I know Daniel, I know Sinclair. Like, if someone can vouch for you already based on your brand, that goes a long way to opening a lot of doors in entrepreneurship, in your career, in life, sometimes in relationships when you're blind dating people, right? Y'all know I'm married, so I'm out the game. But I would assume that if I'm setting someone up with a blind date and I'm saying, oh yeah, this man's really good, I vouch for him, he's a man of his word, he's helped me out X, Y, Z, got a good head on his shoulders, trustworthy, like that's my perception, again, back to perception, that's my perception of who he is. And I'm passing on my perception to someone who's never met that person, and they're now going to make a conscious decision in the market, right? And this market is now the dating market. They're going to make a conscious decision based on my influence, based on my marketing this blind date person to another friend. So, long story short, y'all, please, please, please be intentional about what brand you are setting up, because just like a business, and we'll get to this in a second, once you establish that brand, it's kind of difficult to pivot that brand. Once you've already established yourself as a selfish person, as a taker more than a giver, as a person who may attract drama, once this is your brand, your friends know this is you, and they still rock with you, but they're like, that person may be a little drama, right? They still rock with you, they still love you, but they also know that you may be a little dramatic sometimes. Once you have this as your brand, it could be difficult to change that. Right now, you start a nonprofit organization, but your personal brand as a person isn't one that matches the values of a typical nonprofit. That may hurt you, and you may in your heart be like, no, I'm a changed person, I love this new nonprofit, but if for the past 15 years you've been a certain way, it may be difficult to change folks' concept and perception of who you are. I don't want to discourage folks from making that change, but what I'm saying is, if you are making that change, just understand a little bit of extra sweat equity you might need to put into it, right? A little bit of extra marketing that you need to put into it to shift that perception of folks. For example, in the book, they go over how Americans perceive Honda versus how Japanese folks perceive Honda. Honda is a Japanese native company, And if you were to ask folks in Japan, like, hey, would you buy a Honda? They'll ask you, what do you mean? Like, a Honda car, a Honda motorcycle, a Honda moped, a Honda what? Whereas if you ask people in America, like, would you buy a Honda? They'd be like, oh yeah, the Civic, the Accord, yeah, I'll buy a car, right? Because the perception, Honda started in Japan as a motorcycle company because of the culture that's out there. Whereas in America, their primary model or their primary product is a car. So again, I'm not gonna buy a Honda motorcycle, but I would buy a Harley motorcycle, but I wouldn't buy a Harley car, right? So long story short, perception of your own personal brand. Please make sure y'all are intentional with it and really know what your brand is and use it to your best advantage. If you are that drama person, that's fine. That's not a negative thing. Use your brand as a drama person to have a reality TV show, to have a blog, to have a podcast, because people love drama on podcasts. So like, you use your brand to your advantage. If you're going to change your brand, you're going to create a business or a product that's kind of different from your own personal brand historically, just be ready and prepared to put in that extra time to be able to change people's perception. All right, I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'm off my soapbox. I'm off. I'm gonna hop right back on a different topic though. All right, so shifting gears a little bit. The last section, and arguably the most not important session per se, but I know the one that may be the most applicable to folks is marketing and perception of your own product and your own business. All right, so how can you take these concepts and actually profit off of it for your own brand and your own business? So before I go to the checklist, I do have a checklist. All right, I'm looking at my notes, y'all. First, I want to cover a little bit of our own journeys in realizing this with Black Wall Street, the board game. So when we first created Black Wall Street, the board game, it was under the umbrella of True Health Forever. Y'all know that's our brand: holistic health, social health, physical health, spiritual health, and economic health, right? So Black Wall Street, the board game was our kind of premier product for economic health. The game was sold on TrueHealthForever.com. It was promoted and highlighted on our Instagram, TrueHealth4Ever. Make sure y'all like and follow. We appreciate you. And if you're on our YouTube channel, by the way, just go ahead and like and subscribe. Come on now, run those numbers up. We're at like 280 subscribers, trying to get to 300 by the end of October. We need your help and support. Go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. So, where was I? Man, y'all made me use my train of thought. I'm just kidding. One of the 9 disciplines of Black millionaires was selling. And I did say I'm trying to get intentionally better at selling. So I'm going to try to improve myself, as we're giving y'all these nuggets, as we're hoping that you're growing with us, we're also growing with you. But back to True Health Forever and Black Wall Street, the board game. So we were selling or pre-selling Black Wall Street, the board game on the True Health Forever page at the time. And most people, their number one question in DMs, in comments was, is this a board game company or a health company? Because the name, right, the brand, True Health Forever, doesn't necessarily have a direct connection to Black Wall Street, the board game. To us, it made sense because we had the full plan, right? We had these 4 pillars. We were going to do these products. We were going to do these conferences for these pillars. It was going to match up with this, and it was all going to be a part of one brand, one identity of True Health Forever, and it was going to be amazing. We had that vision, but from the outside looking in, the perception of a health company making a board game did not make sense. The expectations of, ooh, check out Black Wall Street, the board game. Who owns it? True Health Forever. That broke the expectation momentum of our customers. And I'll take it, a step further, even up until recently. We've had customers reach out and say, hey, I got this fraudulent charge on my account because it says True Health Forever, because that's the LLC, right? It'll say True Health Forever, and they're like, I have not bought any health supplements. I have not gone to the gym. What is this charge? And then, our customer service team will be like, sorry, that's actually the board game. If you bought Black Wall Street, the board game, if you bought a hat, if you bought a shirt, that's also connected to True Health Forever. And they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, But it's interesting, the amount of time and effort that went in, and, kind of is going in, we're dividing them better now, but goes into being able to patch up people's perception. So what we did, and we've seen an extreme, y'all, I'm telling you, like this, please listen to this part, because we've seen an extreme amount of success since doing this. But we created a separate Instagram account, right? We had True Health Forever. We were selling Play Black Wall Street on there, posting. People were kind of confused, so we're like, all right, forget it. Let's create an entire new Instagram account, Play Black Wall Street. We started from zero. At this point, the True Health Forever page had like 2,000 followers, and we were like, no, we're not gonna start over. We're gonna lose momentum. We're not gonna get as many likes. We started from zero, made it very clear, Play Black Wall Street. We started a new website, playblackwallstreet.com. So the perception, when they first get on the site, it makes perfect sense. I'm here for Black Wall Street, the board game. I'm following Play Black Wall Street. I'm on playblackwallstreet.com. Very smooth. Since we've started the Play Black Wall Street account, it now has more followers than the True Health Forever account does. And we get more hits to the playblackwallstreet.com than we do to the truehealthforever.com. Okay, and that's no shade to TH4, like our OG business. It's still the main business, but the fact that we were able to do a clear product, a clear offering with a clear brand on a clear IG page that links to a clear website, it just makes it smooth. And our sales have gone up. I don't want to make up a number, but they've gone up tremendously since last year. Our 2020 sales have gone up tremendously since 2019 with just the clear perception of brand. So the lesson in that, y'all, is I know sometimes as entrepreneurs, as creatives, we have this big audacious plan, we have this goal, and there's things that match up perfectly and we see the whole puzzle, but we are not the end consumer. It doesn't matter that it makes sense to sell the board game on True Health Forever for us, because we aren't purchasing. It needs to make sense to the consumer. They need to perceive the direct connection between a product that they're buying and the brand that's selling them that product. So I encourage you, if you have multiple brands, if you have multiple business ideas, multiple products, if they don't connect, if your customer is telling you that they don't connect, then separate them. And it's very easy to create, an additional Shopify. It's very easy to create another PayPal specifically for that business. It's relatively simple to get, different credit cards or different checking accounts or sub accounts for those different businesses. So I would definitely encourage you to take that extra step. I know it's time, I know it's a little bit of a hassle to have to work backwards, but sometimes you take a few steps backwards, you're able to look, you can take the right step forward, right? You feel me? And I just said that off the top of my head and I liked it, so I'm gonna say it one more time. Sometimes if you take a few steps backwards, you can take the right steps forward, all right? So definitely, learn from our lessons a little bit earlier and try to make sure your branding is a little bit clear. Now, back to perceptions. These are some factors that in 2020 can influence a customer's perception of your brand. Okay, there's going to be a few factors that I've written down. If you have more, definitely always, wanting to learn, so y'all can comment on the video. If you're watching it on YouTube, appreciate you, like and subscribe. If you're watching or listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go ahead and send us a message, whether you send us a message through the Anchor app or you go ahead and send us a message on TH4 Instagram. Just hit us up, True Health 4 ever on Instagram. Let us know. But these are my factors. One, first and foremost, is your website or the place of purchase. And this is where customers are coming and they're making a very quick judgment based on the experience that they have at your store. You could have the best product on the market, right? You can have, if you're an author, you can have the world's best book. If you're a board game person, you can have the best board game out there. If you're a phone developer, you can have a better phone than the iPhone, right? But if I go to your website and the loading time is slow, if I go to your website and the buy button is crooked, right? Or sometimes you'll go to websites and stuff isn't aligned right. The product doesn't matter, because off immediate reaction, I'm perceiving your website as a low quality website. So because your website is low quality, I'm going to assume that your product is also low quality. Whether that's right or wrong, right? Perception. If I go to your website and I can't find the contact us, if I go to your website and I can't see pictures of real people, if I go to your website and I can't see any products, I just see buy buttons, but I don't see pictures of products. Again, it can be the best product in the world. I know personally, I'm not going to purchase, and I'm sure there's other consumers out there that feel the same. That is why platforms like Shopify, and this is not an endorsement on Shopify, though. Hey, what's up? Talk to your boy. That's why platforms like Shopify that make it so easy to create a very quality, valuable website quickly are changing the game for entrepreneurs. Because before, if you had to code your own website, and you maybe your cousin codes, your uncle codes on the side, or you do part-time coding, you can make a website, but it wouldn't look the same as these really nice ones, right? Because they're really putting in the time, they're putting in the hours and the money to make it look nice. So you can have a better product, but because your website wasn't up to par, you couldn't compete. But now with Shopify, with Squarespace, with Wix, with Weebly, with all these other plug and play kind of e-commerce solutions, now anybody can make a really nice website and sell their really nice products on there. So number one thing I would say is just take some time and really make sure your website's looking right. Really make sure if someone sends you a message, it connects to a real email and you can send them a message back. I can't tell you how many times we've emailed customers back. They had like gameplay questions, or they had just, oh, I've always wanted to start a board game. How did y'all get started? And we email them back and they're like, wow, thanks for emailing us back. We didn't know we were gonna get a response. And it's like, yeah, no, like we're real people. We definitely pride ourselves in customer service, and we'll get back to you. So that's something that I would implore all y'all to do as well. Number 2, email updates or some type of newsletter. And you'll be surprised, and maybe you won't be surprised actually, but there's tons of people who they'll go on the Shopify, and if you've created a nice little funnel, for us we have like a cool game wheel funnel that we actually got from Rare X. Shout out to Rare X Apparel, Markel. I was like, hey Markel, I like what you're doing with your website. It's real engaging. You have this cool wheel. How did you get this wheel? He was like, oh, you go here, whoop whoop whoop, put it on there, and yeah, it's a great way to get emails. And I was like, thank you. So I put that on our website, and sure enough, we got emails. And the people who spin the wheels, sometimes they buy, but sometimes they don't. But either way, we get their emails. And if we're able to once a month, twice a month, I don't try to spam folks too much, but if we're able to send a newsletter like, hey, this is what we're doing this week. Hey, we gave out $1,000 worth of scholarships. Hey, we donated over 100 games. Like, if we're able to say these things, most of those are true. What's up? Play like Wall Street, we're getting it. But if we're able to communicate these things to our community, most times when we send out an email, we'll see a spike in sales that day. Right? Because again, it's the perception. They perceive like, oh, y'all are doing work. You're sending me email updates. You're out in the community. You're giving back. I like what this brand stands for. This brand is perceived to be a positive influence on the community, and I, as a consumer, would like to be a part of that positive change. So I'm going to make a purchase today, right? I don't know that's what the customers are saying, but that's what we're hoping the customers are saying, and that's why we try to be active in communicating what we're doing in the community, because we want people to join what we're doing, right? So definitely send email updates, whether you use HubSpot, whether you use MailChimp, whether you use Constant Contact, Salesforce. There's all types of CRMs and email stuff out there. But definitely, I would say send email at least once a month to your community so they know that you're engaged and they know that you're thinking of them, right? Number 3 on how your business or product gets perceived is price. And you can really be a little bit creative with price. So obviously, usually the higher the price is, the more value someone gives it, right? So if you say, oh, my board game's, $200, they're like, oh wow, this board game is the best board game out there. It better come with some gold dice. It better come with $100 bill inside, and it should come with I don't even know what else should come with a game that costs $200. Our game is not $200, y'all know that. But again, price kind of influences the perception of value. You have 2 shirts, one shirt worth $150, the other shirt worth, and I'm putting air quotes for our listeners, another shirt worth $20. The people who have money, the people who like to be able to say, oh yeah, this is a $200 shirt, this is a Balenciaga shirt, this is a Gucci fettuccine shirt, they're going to spend the $175 because of the perception that swag will give them, right? The perception that price tag will give them. Now, the interesting thing, the really, really interesting thing about price, and this goes into the psychology of sales and marketing, but the psychology of Black Friday sales, the psychology of Amazon Day sales, is people love, me included. I'm not above this. Even though I know I'm being marketed to, I'm still not above this. People love a deal. People love being able to say, oh yeah, this, it usually costs $100, but your boy got it for $49.99, got it for a steal. People love to be able to do that. And it's interesting that we think we saved $50 because it usually costs $100. It's on sale for $50. We think, even though we're spending money, we're spending $50 to buy it, in our heads, we're saving $50. And I want y'all to just think for a second how dangerous that is. You are literally spending money, right? So your net is a loss physically, economically in the world. You are $50 less wealthy than you were. But in our heads, we think, oh, I just saved $50. I feel like that's so interesting. And I don't know why the mind works like that, but definitely think about how you can use the natural flow of that within your own marketing. So if you want to sell something for, let's say $30, your price point is really $30. It would be interesting to do an experiment and maybe do a month where the price shows $45 but on sale for $30. See what that sales activity looks like, and then do another month where it's just $30, no deal, just no discount, no increase, just straight $30, and see which month you get more conversions. My bet would be that you would get more conversions when people think it's a deal. Like, people don't like to play retail price. Like, what? I'm not getting a deal? This is regular price? I'm good. I want some type of deal, right? I want to think that I'm tricking you to giving me a deal, not the other way around. I don't want to be tricked. I want to think that I'm tricking you to giving me a deal as a consumer, right? So play with that. Play with price. I think I'm not going to rant. I already see it coming. I see it coming, y'all. So play with price a little bit on your own, on your business, on your products, on your services, and see how you can play with those numbers, play with the perception of a deal, and see how that may increase your conversions on your own site. Okay. Number four, and I'm going back to the list. I do want to stay concise. Is packaging. Y'all, and y'all are gonna see when these self-loves officially drop. And shout out to all the folks that have already reached out for these self-love sweatsuits. We appreciate y'all. COVID's messing some stuff up, but also we got way more attention than we thought we were going to get. So they're on the way. But packaging, we're really going to do some experimentation with the packaging of this product, and even the packaging for Black Wall Street, the board game. We were very intentional about the packaging. We wanted to make sure it was high quality. We wanted to make sure it was easy to consume. We wanted to make sure that even before you open the box of the game, you already understand what it stands for. It's easy to perceive on the packaging of Black Wall Street, the board game, that it's one, a pro-black and a black excellence product and piece. Two, that it's based on history, because when you turn it over to the backside, there's a whole detailed timeline. So before you even open the game, you're already learning. And one of the biggest value propositions of the game is to learn. So you want to make sure that some of the value propositions that you're promising your customers, they're able to get before they even buy the product, right? Before they even open it, before they play it, before I use this iPhone, before I use this Google, I need to already believe, I need to already perceive the value that it's going to give me. So, highly encourage y'all, if you're in a position to rethink or be intentional about your packaging. Not rethink, but be intentional about how you are packaging and shipping your products out. Now, I know some folks are doing the whole drop shipping thing, which, not knocking you, we drop ship some items as well. And the thing that I don't love about the drop shipping is we don't have as much control over the boxing experience. So I know when we were in the first edition phase, right, and we were packaging everything, our sales in the living room, we were putting personal notes in there. I was able to put in the extra game if I wanted to. Like if there's been like military orders that came in, and for military folks, I was giving them a free extra game because I knew that they were in a community with extra people. They're already dedicating their service to our country, to our values. So I'm like, here's an extra game just for the free, just because I know this is going to military. Whereas if someone else is packaging it, as the owner, we don't necessarily have the opportunity to always go the extra mile. So personally, I love being able to have that hands-on experience and have that hands-on control of the product packaging experience, and really to be able to control the experience that the end user, the end customer is getting when they get our product, right? It comes in the mail, they're happy, all their families around, their kids are around. Oh, Black Wall Street, the board game, it came. They open it up, like they see it, they see the black faces immediately on it, they see the dice. Like, I love watching unboxing videos and getting that experience and getting the positive feedback on the packaging, because we did take our time with it. So, something to think about, y'all. The packaging sometimes can take phones to the next level, can take headphones to the next level. So I'm gonna do two very quick asides. One, the packaging for the old Beats. I've never bought a pair of Beats, but I remember the packaging on these Beats during my college times. The packaging was beautiful, right? Very intentional. Like the box had texture to it, like the Beat logo had texture to it. You open it up, there's styrofoam in there protecting it. Like, very intentional, and it felt premium just on the packaging. Same thing with the iPhone. The packaging feels so premium, so when you finally get to open the box, it takes a little effort to get the box to fall through, and then that phone is just sitting there all nice and pristine with the plastic on it. You take that plastic off as if symbolizing that it is officially, finally your phone, and it's a whole experience, right? So how can you replicate that experience for your products? All right. Last but not least, in ways to control the perception of your own business, your own brand, is, probably the most popular, the one that y'all are already doing, and that is, one, social media but two, how you engage with your social media community, right? So when you post and people leave comments, what do? If someone says, "Oh my gosh, I love this game," do you ignore it or do you like it? Do you comment and say, "Oh my gosh, we love you too," right? What is your brand's voice? Is your brand funny? Is your brand sassy? Is your brand confident? Is your brand shy? Like, your brand should have a voice in these comments. Engagement. If someone posts on their story, "Oh, hey, I just bought Black Wall Street the board game," whether it's a picture or a video, do you repost, right? How engaged are you in your community? And again, one, this is good for just kind of exposure a little bit. Obviously, every time you comment on an Instagram post, it helps the algorithm a little bit to show to other people. So you want to comment and like people's comments on your post. One, just so that more people can see it, right? Two, it gives a little bit of a love, a little bit of dopamine when someone comments to a brand that they support and that brand shows love. Like, imagine if you had on your pair of Jordans, you took a picture like, "Yeah, feeling like MJ today," and MJ commented like, "Hey, it's an honor. Thank you for trying to be like me." What? Can you imagine what your life... I can only imagine the reaction that some of my friends would have if Michael Jordan commented on some of their tags, right? So that same sense, someone thinks, maybe not that level, right? But someone has some measure of that thought about your brand. When I buy these Rare Jeans sweatsuits and I post a picture and I tag Rare X and they repost me or they put me in their story, it's like, wow, they're real people. They care about me as a person. So I'm going to keep investing in them because they're investing time in reposting me and commenting to me. So highly encourage you. I know it definitely takes a little bit of time, but go in those comments. Make sure you're engaging with your folks. Make sure you're reposting your folks. If you miss a few, you miss a few. But I would say you want the norm to be I engage. You want the norm to be I comment back and I communicate with my community. Right? If you stop communicating with your community, they're gonna stop purchasing from you. That's a hyperbole. I don't know if they're gonna do that per se, but I would definitely say you want to engage with them. All right? What do you think, Sinclair? Just kidding, y'all. You're not here. But that is what we had to cover for today's episode. I believe this is episode 29. We're almost to the 30. We might have to do something real nice, real special for the 30. But we appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Definitely, please continue to support. Continue to go ahead and share this podcast with your friends, with your families, with your enemies. And let's all keep growing, keep getting better together. Again, I'm your host, De'Von Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street the board game. We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.